G'day, well today I'm doing a walk around on my Aerosport Supapup Mark IV, and this just happens to be an 04 model, and I picked it up a couple of years ago now, and I picked it up with 25 hours on the clock, and I've now done 250. Well, it's done 250, I've done 225 in the last couple of hours. It's all 4130 chrome moly fuselage and stitz covered, stitz fabric covered, or when I say stitz, the flaps and ailerons are aluminium, and the D section on the leading edge of the wing is aluminium. Down to the tail wheel there, 7-inch pneumatic tail wheel. I've actually recently raised the rear a little bit. It was getting a bit too much grass and whatnot caught up in it. Fiberglass wing tips, which are nice. There's that rolled front section. It's semi-symmetrical wing, so it's not a flat bottom wing like you'd have on a Piper Cub or something of that nature. Aerofoil struts on it. I've got the Goodyear Flight Custom tyres, which measure about just shy of 17 inches in diameter. So they soak up a good bit of the bumps, etc. And we open the door. It has a full-size door on this side for getting in and out, and then a half window on the starboard side there. And you can open those up, both of them, in flight. I tend to have the door down and the window open, and you can leave that open up until about 80 knots, and then after that you've got to close it. It starts to get a bit too pressurised inside. The chap who built this plane, I wish I could take credit for the build, but I can't. He's done a lovely job. Flight manual, first aid kit, life jacket, tyre repair kit, the David Clark's, and nothing like a bit of comfort. Lanesville seat covers. And you really do nestle back inside the plane. Now I've just got to get myself in a situation where I can lean back a bit here. There's the flight panel. It's got the 196 up there. Pretty standard basic sort of flight panel. I've got the RAM mount there for the iPad. This has got a Narco radio that the previous owner used to have in his Oster, and I haven't got the heart to take that out. Actually, it's a very good radio. I've got an A200, but the Narco sort of seems like part of the plane. My standard coffee cup. I love my cup of coffee when I'm flying. That's the air intake that comes and goes back through with a solenoid. Tow operated brakes. So when I say tow operated brakes, they're only really any good for taxiing. They're not much chop when you're if you're trying to pull the plane up from any sort of speed. That's the inside. Flaps up here, 35 degree of flap. That could be adjusted to pull in about 40, but 35 seems to be plenty. It has the tinted acrylic roof, which the tint is really nice. Gee, I could have given it a vacuum out before I took this video, couldn't I? This one's powered by Jabiru, 2.2 litre. She puts out just over 85 horsepower, this one. It's a solid lifter motor with the big crank, and sweet little motor. That's the oil cooler on the front there. It's lovely and quiet. Doesn't disturb anyone. Venturi operated turn and bank. That's off of a tiger moth of all things on the side there. So you're not relying on a electrical or vac pumps or anything, although these motors are equipped with the vac pump fitting on them. That's just Venturi operated. And yeah, look, a lovely little aircraft to fly. The numbers on this one, you can fly anywhere between 60 and 100 knots, so that's getting you up towards 200 kilometers an hour in cruise. At 60 knots, it's burning 8 litres per hour, 90 knots, and I find 90 to be the most comfortable cruise speed in this one. At 90 knots, you're burning 12 litres per hour, and at 100 knots, you're up to 15 litres. It only holds 54 litres of fuel, so at 90 knots, you've got 4 comfortable hours, which still gets you a fair way. but the tanks are in the wings, aluminium tanks, one either side, 27 litres per tank. I often get asked, because if you've seen my previous videos, you know I've done the walk around on my challenges, and 2 challenges and the Jabiru, nose wheel or tail wheel. Look, I think they've both got their pros and cons. Look, I've got a soft spot for tail draggers. The first plane I ever flew in 1986 was a tail dragger. First plane I ever soloed in. And I've had several since then. I built a Fisher Koala some years ago, which is like a little single seat J3, and that was tail dragger. I like the tail draggers for their off-field ability. I live in country South Australia, and we have a lot of rough runways, etc. Well, a lot of them aren't runways, they're just about paddocks. And when that prop is straight up and down on this one, you've got 2 feet between the tip of the propeller and the ground. You can see the amount of clearance underneath this aircraft, so you can taxi over some pretty average terrain and bushes and whatnot, and if you sit there and you wind it up on the spot, it doesn't pick rubbish up and damage your propeller. So look, tail draggers have got a lot going for them. There's something about flying a tail dragger. I can't put a name on it, but those that fly tail draggers will understand what I'm talking about. The off-field ability, as I said, is wonderful. The downside, of course, is that in really high wind conditions, the nose wheel is a far easier aircraft to operate on the ground. And parking it, I mean, just sitting there like that, that's not tied down. I haven't even got wheel chocks under it because it's nice and calm at the moment. It's only a couple of knots of wind, but if you're going to park at an airfield somewhere and it's blowing a howling gale, it's always wise to tie a tail dragger down, where if you've got a tricycle, it tends to not get pushed around by the, when I say tricycle, I mean nose wheel, not get pushed around by the wind so much. But this one stalls, no flaps, about 30, closer to 40 knots with no flaps, 38 half flap, and about 36 knots full flap. 100 to 150 metres to take off if you've got warm conditions and no wind. When I say warm, we get up around 36, 38 degrees, and you know, after that you don't really want to be flying anyway, but the air gets thin, so you probably need a good 150 metres in this one. But yeah, terrific aeroplane, and I've enjoyed it. It was 250 hours on the clock now. I picked it up with 25, so as I said, just shy of 2 years, I've done 225 hours in it, and I've really enjoyed flying this plane. It's a lot of fun. It keeps you alert, great visibility, good fuel consumption, and just a fun aircraft to fly. I mean, I'd fly a broomstick with a motor on it if I could, just because it flies. But there you go. So that's a bit of a look at a Supapup Mark IV, the Mark IV or 1V, as it's listed on the side there, which I've probably got the strut right in front of where it says that. The 1V is the folding wing model. They make a 2-seat version of this, which is an Aero Pup, same wing. I think all the dimensions are pretty well the same, except for the cockpit width, which makes it into a 2-seater. So you can imagine how strong this aircraft is. It's +6, -4. So actually it might be +6, -3, but very strong, tough, little capable aircraft. Okay, now I've been asked a couple of times about the folding wing on these. You can have the wing folded in about 5 minutes. I won't put that into this clip, but I will do a separate video. Well, it's not video anymore, is it? But a separate clip on folding the wings for those that like to trailer their aircraft and not pay hangarage fees and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'll do that separately, and hopefully not too far away. Okay, cheers for now.